dwindles each year because the days haven't moved. So a lot of people are aging out.
Huh. So this new rule from the Biden administration still doesn't do anything to change the lives of dreamers like Daniela, who we heard from earlier. I mean, yes, she gets the benefit of DACA protections, but it's still not a permanent fix for her. She still has to live with that ambiguity and fear every 2 years when her renewal comes up.
That's right. It doesn't change anything for DACA recipients, and it doesn't expand the program in any way. And because it really only puts those original provisions into the rule process, essentially it doesn't provide any path to legalization or citizenship. It doesn't expand the DACA criteria in any way, so it doesn't apply to any new people. And even if the Biden administration approves that rule, it could still face future challenges yet again.
So is there any hope for a permanent solution? If it must come out of Congress, then at least this Congress doesn't seem apt to make that change.
Yes, I mean, I think there's two things sort of happening at the same time. I think the Democrats are trying to push for immigration reform in Congress, and you're right, there does not seem to be any movement on that. But at the same time, Congress really has delegated a lot of that discretionary authority to the executive. The DACA program is typically characterized as sort of a humanitarian program for children who came to the United States as sort of a benefit for them. But in fact, most of the justification for the rule in the proposed rule change is actually around the enormous benefit that the program provides to the tune of tens of billions of dollars in both federal tax revenue as well as state and local tax revenue, and the benefit for the U.S. economy in terms of workers and jobs.
Austin Coker is an expert on immigration with TRAC, a research institute that studies federal policy. Thank you so much for your time and perspective. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Rachel.
How do you take your coffee? 2 creams, 2 sugars, something different? Oh, you fancy.
Bailey's. However you enjoy it today, you can celebrate because October 1st is International Coffee Day. It became official in 2015.
The mission was twofold: to express love and appreciation for the aromatic beverage and to better understand the work of coffee bean farmers. Sandra Walimaki is a coffee connoisseur and educator who's been in the industry nearly 20 years. She's also brand partner for the NPR Coffee Club.
Coffee has so many flavor compounds, countless ways to brew it, and it's such a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing, but a good cup of coffee needs good ingredients, and Walimaki says it starts with water.
How your water tastes is definitely going to affect how your coffee will taste. So choosing good water is very important for brewing good coffee at home.
And fresh coffee beans, so if you haven't already, maybe invest in a good at-home grinder. She also says you should pick a brewing method that fits your personal taste and lifestyle. Want a heavier brew? Invest in a French press. For those that don't,
then go maybe for a pour-over method that requires that paper filter, mainly because those paper filters will trap some of the coffee oils, so it makes your cup of coffee slightly more clear, more crisp, more brighter flavors.
She also advises that you don't get stuck in a rut. Walimaki encourages people to venture out and try new flavors.
I think the more you taste coffee, the better you're going to get at tasting. I think that goes with anything. The more you taste something or consume or eat something, the better you're going to get at identifying what's good and what's bad.
If you need to step up your coffee game, we can help you with that. You can learn what you need by listening to NPR's Life Kit. It's pretty easy to level up your coffee game episode.
You're the cream in my coffee. You're the salt in my stew.
This is NPR News.
Rod Stewart The Hits is returning to the Coliseum at Caesars Palace as part of its 10th anniversary residency with select dates in October. You can now buy tickets to his October 20th performance with the special price for being a Nevada Public Radio member. There are no additional taxes or fees, and 100% of your ticket price supports Nevada Public Radio. Find your tickets at our box office at knpr.org/support.
4 years ago today, 20,000 festival goers fell prey to a man who shot and killed 60 of them on the Las Vegas Strip. It was the worst mass shooting in modern U.S. history. For many, it's still hard to process. I'm Joe Shaneman. A Henderson father who lost his son, a former Metro officer, and a former reporter join us. 9 this morning on State of Nevada.
Support for Nevada Public Radio comes from UNLV, whose research makes an impact on all our lives, from medicine to sports to space exploration. Information on how rebels make it happen at unlv.edu. And from Hightower Las Vegas, publishers of An Alternate Hue, Let's Talk Well, TH, and The Workout. More information at hightowerlasvegas.com. It's 7:20.
On the next Fresh Air, our interview with Melvin Van Peebles, one of the first black feature filmmakers and a trailblazer in American independent film. He died last week. Also, our interview with John Shelby Spong, the former Episcopal Bishop of New Jersey, who died this month. He was one of the first to ordain a woman and a gay man into the clergy. Join us today at 1 on KNPR.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Mathnasium, committed to boosting students' confidence, critical thinking, and math grades and scores with in-person or online instruction. Each student follows a customized learning plan. More at mathnasium.com. From Tire Rack, offering a tire decision guide and user reviews to help people find tires that fit their needs and driving conditions. Learn more at tirerack.com. From Hiscox, committed to helping small businesses protect their dreams. Quotes and information on customized insurance for specific risks are available at hiscox.com. Hiscox, business insurance experts. And from the listeners who support this NPR station.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm A. Martinez.
And I'm Noel King. Good morning. FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, is a loan program that helps students pay for college. Today is the first day families can apply, and every year millions of families do. This year, though, there are some changes, and NPR's Alyssa Nadworny is here to get us up to date on those. Hi, Alyssa.
Good morning.
What are the changes? What do people need to know?
So the big change is that in previous years, students who had a prior drug conviction or male students who failed to register for selective service would be disqualified from federal student aid. That is no longer the case. Those questions, though they're still on the form, will no longer disqualify students from free money like Pell Grants or from federal student loans. And this is the first in a bunch of new changes coming to FAFSA, courtesy of recent federal legislation. I talked with Justin Drager, the president of the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators.
The big changes, changing federal methodology and the way that we ask questions in the front end, won't be implemented until 24-25.
But the idea is to make this more equitable and easier to fill out. Ultimately, the hope is someday families could potentially apply for financial aid just by completing their tax returns.
Hopefully simplifying things will help, but getting students or getting their parents and the students to fill this out is a challenge in its own right.
Absolutely, and the pandemic didn't help. We know that for the class of 2020, those seniors that graduated first during the pandemic, FAFSA completion was down 3.7%, which is a big drop.
What about kids who graduated in the spring and summer of 2021 this year?
High schoolers who graduated in 2021, their class had even fewer students fill out the FAFSA. Of course, that could be a bunch of reasons, like school was virtual last year, so you couldn't just walk down the hall, see your guidance counselor, your college counselor. Numbers were lower at high poverty schools and schools with large numbers of Black and Hispanic students. Bill DeBond works for the National College Attainment Network, and he says low FAFSA numbers mean often fewer people end up going to college.
FAFSA is one of the best leading indicators that we have about college going, and to see it really go off the rails for two graduating classes and not have a ton of confidence that it's going to get back on track for the current one really does sound the alarm.
And now that so many high schools are back in person, experts say we got to focus on getting students to complete this key form so we can see more students go to college.
So who exactly should be filling out this form?
Well, if you or someone in your family is planning on going to college next year, honestly, even if you're just thinking about it, you should fill it out. Even if you don't think you're going to qualify, maybe you think you make too much or you don't want to take out loans, just fill it out. There is free money on the table. Dominique Gunn, who oversees college advising in Columbus, Ohio, she told me it's way easier to fill out than a lot of families and students think.
the unknown is what's scary, right? Like, I don't know what this forum is. I've never heard